your
now
tongue
now
gets me
it's
up.
legitimately recording.
Now
I
we're
can do
in.
the thing.
Welcome back.
Ah,
Woo!
ah.
How have you been?
Good, really good.
Yeah, you went off
It's
to
been.
Hawaii, huh?
I did. I did. It was fun. It
Yeah.
was like the craziest look. It's the one I kept saying. It's the one place that like the photos do it justice. Like you actually
Yeah.
like it looks the damn same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so it looks like you like in a film where you turn like the saturation all the way up. It's so like vibrant. It's cool.
That's
I
your.
liked
Was
it.
that was your first time, right?
That was
Being
my first
to.
time
That's
ever being
incredible.
there. Yeah, it was cool. I was only
I
there
want to go.
for 4 days total and 2 travel days,
Yeah.
so two
Yeah.
full days of just like bumming around in Hawaii.
Yeah. Damn. I want to
Fantastic
go.
though.
I want to go in a pool. I
Yeah,
just want to swim.
yeah. Well, I bet you
Sometimes
just
I
want like
get the.
warm weather, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty warm out here.
Oh,
It's
nice.
it's it's getting really humid is the problem.
Oh,
It's
gross.
because it's like it gets really hot, but then we get rain still, so then it gets all like thunderstormy and stuff, and it gets really humid.
Ew.
But my body does this weird thing, or like my mind does, where I just like crave being in water, like just being submerged.
Yeah,
Just this sounds so good.
we're just water dogs, is why. I was like snorkeling for a solid like half hour to an hour straight, just bumming around in the
Uh,
water.
Every time like we'd go to the lake back home and stuff, I would just be in the water the whole time.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even come out.
it's
Oh,
just way
it's so
better.
nice. I had a blast yesterday. I was hungover all day. Dude, it might have been my worst one yet.
What did you go out for?
So we did a pub crawl, which is like you pay to be on this party bus that takes you to different pubs around Milwaukee throughout the
Cool.
whole like day. It goes from 11 p.m. to 6 or 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Jeez.
And I was blacked out by like 4 in the afternoon. Yeah, we were keeping track drinks on our backs, and like I got to 15. I had 15 drinks. I think I honestly had at least 10 beers, and then I had a ton of tequila shots.
Oh
I had
God.
I I don't remember half of the night, but I do remember the ending of the night. I was watching the New York Knicks play playoffs game, and it was a really good game, and I think they lost by like 2 or some shit. And I was like, damn. And the bartender was like, you good? And I was like, fucking New York lost. And he was like, oh. And I was like, you know what? Give me 2 shots of tequila. And he was like, okay.
Ugh.
And then that was it.
What the fuck? And then that
And
was it.
I woke up in my bed and I was like, how did I get here? I was sick all day. I literally couldn't shake it. I was up at 1 in the morning, like puking and all that, and I was puking until 8 p.m.
Oh
It
God.
was yeah, it might have been my worst one yet. I don't know. I couldn't shake it. I would like feel better and then just plummet, and I would go throw up, and then I'd be all shivering like I just fucking escaped Alcatraz or something. I'd be like. Be like, you need food, and I'm like, I think I'm good, and I'm just dying. It was terrible. And then
You probably
8
had like
p.m.
mild alcohol
I
poisoning.
think I did. Let's have. She was all, no, no, you just need food. But I was like, I don't know. I can't keep water down. I'm like, I keep throwing up. And then finally, 8 p.m. rolled around, and I had some Chinese food, and I was like, I feel amazing. I had some fried rice with chicken, and I was like, oh God, I felt
I
so
feel
good.
amazing.
I feel great today, thank God.
Well, that's good.
But I think I'm done drinking for a while. For
Yeah, you
like,
always do that. You always go on like a binge and then you just are like,
yeah.
never again. I don't have to.
And then I don't drink for like 6 months, and then I
Yeah.
drink one night that fucks me up for an entire week. It's bad. Well, all right, comic book time.
There it is. That's the intro. We're sticking to it.
We're sticking to it. We read Ultimate Spider-Man, the
Yes.
first volume. Woo, woo,
Yeah.
woo. Some background for those who do not listen to the podcast and maybe missed it on last episode. The Ultimate series is a written and produced by Marvel Comics in the early 2000s. They were going bankrupt, and we're like, we need to make money or else we're screwed. And they already did the whole movie deal with Sony to make the Spider-Man movies, but they were like, we need to make our comics make money. So they said, hey, what better way to do that than to make them modern? What if they happened in the 2000s? And they started it with Spider-Man because they were like, if there's one dude that could sell these comics, it'd be our most recognizable face. And the Ultimate Spider-Man comics are actually fantastic. At least I
Yeah.
think so.
No, yeah, it was really good.
I
I
think
I really like this one.
I think that was probably everybody always says it. I think the Ultimate Spider-Man was probably the best thing to come out of the Ultimates like run.
Yeah.
It was great, and it you notice it has a lot of influence on Spider-Man like media still with
Yeah.
Peter being a 15-year-old when he gets bit and stuff like that, and Miles Morales started in the Ultimate Universe, and now he has his own movie.
Hmm.
So it's like, you know,
Is he in this volume?
yeah. No, he's in the
Okay.
later volumes.
Yeah. I was like, wait, I don't remember seeing Miles.
Yeah, I think there's like 7 or 8 Ultimate Spider-Man. I know it ran from 2002 or whatever to 2015.
Here, we can look it up right freaking now, dude.
Yeah, I
Here,
know
a
the
little.
Ultimate Universe ended in 2015 or 2016.
That's when the Ultimate Universe came to an end.
Yeah, that's when it ended. But then they brought it back recently, but it's like not fully back, but I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they're messing around.
Yeah, it looks like it ended in June of 2011.
Yeah.
Started in 2000.
Yeah. So 11 years, that's a long time making
Yeah.
comics. But at one point, Ultimate Peter Parker dies, and Miles Morales is bitten by the same spider, and he takes over as Spider Man. And people liked him so much that look at him now. He's Miles Morales.
Yeah.
He's actually the only Ultimate Universe character to cross over into like the main Marvel universe and stay there. So when the Ultimate Universe ended, they had this big event where the universes collided or whatever the fuck.
Right.
And the only Ultimate character to survive and come over into the 616 universe was Miles, because he was, everybody likes.
Right.
And thought it was pretty wild. I like it. I like
Yes.
I have a big thing for like new universes. You know,
For like restarting them, or
yeah. I like that sort of stuff because I like the main universe, and all that. That's fun. But like when they do like alternate universes where it's like everything starts at the beginning, but we're gonna retell it and modernize. I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I
yeah,
like that.
I definitely like the pacing of
Mm,
this one. It's very like I mean it's kind of funny if well, which makes sense. It reminded me like heavily of like a Marvel movie in the way that it's like written,
yeah,
like the components of it. Like it hits like the same beats as like all of the MCU films. Like there's that talked about formula, right? The MCU formula
yeah,
of how they're made and how they're put together. And I was like, holy shit, this is like a super entertaining MCU film. Like this is a I mean, obviously uh Homecoming, like Spider-Man Homecoming was pretty decent for a Spider-Man movie.
yeah,
And this one like reminded me of the same kind of beats, which is I guess what you were saying where they obviously got a lot of influence from this reincarnation or this incarnation, there it
yeah.
is, of Spider-Man.
Reincarnation, I guess. Yeah. Fucking hell.
Because this is an a singular incarnation of
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah. This is like brand new. That was one of their biggest selling points too with the Ultimate Universe was that everything was uh, bigger and more cinematic.
Yeah.
Like that. That's where they like. I think the writer's Brian Michael Bendis, right? For the
Yes.
Yeah. So his big pitch point, I think I read this somewhere. Somebody did a YouTube video about it, but his big pitch point for this reboot series was if we're gonna do it, we go big with everything. Like you look at the designs of some of the characters
Hmm.
that instead of them just being like a guy in a mask, it's like an actual goblin.
Yeah, yeah, Green Goblin is specific.
Is
He's the main villain in this
Yeah.
one, and he's specifically like spooky looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so their big thing was like, if we want to get people to come in, we have to be bigger than just corny, superhero comics. We have to make these cinematic, true to the character still, but in the modern world, and it worked. It works really well with Spider Man, at least. That's what I
Mhm.
think. And a big thing with it too was it's all about like genomes or whatever, genes, because in the early 2000s it was like biological warfare was like really coming in on the whole rise with Iraq and stuff like
Right.
that. So how do we you know put these superheroes in the modern world and make people realize it's the modern world, and they were like, oh, we'll just emphasize a lot of these heroes are like mutated genomes. And I
Right.
was like,
Genetically
yeah,
enhanced in one way or another.
genetic, all that kind of stuff. Whereas like 616 Peter was a radioactive spider, whereas Ultimate Peter was like a mutated genome spider that bit
Yeah.
him, and it broke down his DNA and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. And
Yeah, absolutely. It's very like classical comic book style um like fun, I guess. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It reminded me of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Like so much.
yeah,
Like that's movie is so true to at least this ultimate storyline. I wonder when that came out. The Sam Raimi one.
Sam Raimi was 2002, wasn't it? 2000 something like that.
Yeah, 2002. Yeah, so
Yeah,
this would have been a few years
yeah,
after the Ultimate series started,
yeah.
because it's like even the costume of Green Goblin in and now that I'm remembering it, like Willem Dafoe's character getting all um genetically enhanced and stuff like
Yes,
that, right? There's
his
like
like
that.
his like crazy steroids.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's like right in line with this.
Yeah. Well, because like honestly, the Marvel comics were at like a stale point, and then
Yeah,
they did this, and now you see all the influences come from this
yeah,
big jump, because this is a huge leap. If the Ultimate didn't do as well in the beginning as it did, like I don't know what would have happened.
sure.
Because like this is you're restarting. You have almost 80 plus years of like Marvel history already, and you
Yeah,
just decide to like fuck it, let's start from the beginning to get new readers.
right.
Like that is a gamble and a half. But like
Yeah.
that's why they brought on people like Bendis and Bagley, and then they got Brian Hitch and Mark Miller for the Ultimates, which was like the Avengers, you know.
Hmm.
And I mean, look at the. Have you read the Ultimates or like even seen it?
No.
So they specifically drew Nick Fury to look like Samuel L. Jackson,
Oh,
and then
really?
and
In
then
in the Ultimates?
yeah, and
Like
that's
in that
why
specific comic
yeah,
book run?
and that's why Sam Jackson like got the Nick Fury role so easily at
Yeah.
in the movies, because they straight up drew him to look like Sam Jackson.
Well, I'm looking even at the cover art of Ultimates here, and it looks like the original cast of the Avengers, like
Yeah,
the of the Avengers movie, right? There's Cap, probably Black Widow, Iron Man, Thor. I can't
yeah,
tell who's like really in the background there, but
yeah.
yeah, you're not wrong. It seems clearly that this had a big influence in
hmm
the MCU.
Well, it's like even with other media,
Yeah.
like in the video games and stuff like that. Now, the original Avengers lineup was Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Wasp, and Ant Man, and then Cap came along. But
Hmm.
then the Ultimates did the lineup that everybody knows: Widow, Hawkeye, Thor, Hulk, and Cap, and Iron
Right.
Man. They did that lineup, and now that's like the only Avengers
Oh
lineup
yeah.
everybody knows.
Yeah, that's the now like original team.
Yeah, like that's the team. Everybody, the video game, the
Yeah.
movie, like
And they're a pretty good team.
yeah,
It's a pretty good group.
yeah. You'll
Y-
have to read the Ultimates someday, because it's a goofy one. It's
Yeah.
Mark Miller. He just has a hard on for like deconstructing superheroes.
Yeah.
And he was at that time, he did not like George Bush at all, or what America was doing in the Middle East,
Sure.
you know. So he was like, okay, Avengers Modern. Well, guess what? The Avengers are just a military task force made by the government, and they get all their funding from the like government, and they go into the Middle East. And Captain America's kind of a '40s dickhead,
Right.
and it's like damn. But the saving grace of it is that the art in the by Brian Hitch in the Ultimates is so good, and
Yeah.
that's where that like where I said they wanted to make it so cinematic and stuff like that, because they fight the Hulk at one point, and it's like this big brawl throughout Manhattan that lasts like 8 pages, 6 pages, and it's amazing splash work and rain and fire and all that stuff, and it's like wow, this shit's good.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Even I'm reading just about the Ultimates right here, and they even like. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be super surprised, right? Like this makes sense that you built a cinematic universe off of this, right? Because you have a bunch of source material. Like you
Yeah.
have all of this. How much? Well, anyways, I guess I could keep asking questions about the MCU, but we should
Well, no, that's
buckle in
fine.
here on Spider-Man
Just ask.
because
Well, we got an hour.
that's true. It's only been 16 minutes.
Yeah. Why don't you ask? What you got? What
Well,
you got?
I was gonna say like how much of the original you said they had like 80 years of stuff that they kind of went through, and
Yeah.
obviously when they were doing like when was the first Spider-Man? Was that
A
like
long time
yeah?
ago,
I'm sure like
'60s, something like that. Maybe like '50s, because it was a his first appearance was Amazing Fantasy. It wasn't even in a Spider-Man book.
God, yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man #1 is 1963.
Yeah,
So let's
and
what'd you say? Amazing Fantasy?
yeah, Amazing Fantasy was his like first appearance, and that's when I believe it was like Steve Ditko and Stan Lee came up with him.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
61.
Yeah. So, and everybody loved him in Amazing Fantasy. So then they were like, I think we should give this guy his own
Yeah. So
like
a few
series.
years later, they do Amazing Spider-Man number
Yeah.
one. Okay, that makes sense.
So
Because I
you've
was
got years and years of history.
right, right. Because that's what I was wondering about, like how much of the MCU took from the Ultimates, which it seems like a lot
A
now
lot.
that we're looking at. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost all of it, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
Um, compared to like the original, because like were the original runs like was Civil War originally like a big thing?
Yeah. Yeah. And like modern, in the Civil War
Yeah,
was
but
like
like in the
2005 or
wasn't
something
it
like
like
that.
wasn't there an older Civil War too?
No, no,
No, there wasn't.
that first modern Civil War was like the first step. There was Secret Wars, which introduced like black suit Spider-Man and stuff like that. And Secret Wars was a big event. It was like one of Marvel's like first events. And then
Okay, yeah,
they did
that looks
that.
a little bit big and stuff like that.
Yeah,
In '84 is when that
yeah,
was.
they did that, and then they also did the Infinity Gauntlet, which was like almost page for
Yeah,
page Infinity War.
I remember that as well.
Yeah. So I mean, like they still take stuff from the originals, I guess
Yeah,
you could say. Maybe like with their bigger movies, but as far as like character design and like the way characters are introduced and react to one another is very
yep,
much Ultimates. Like the Chitauri or whatever from the first Avengers movie,
yeah,
that was the Ultimates.
yeah. That was their fight.
That was their fight against
That's what
the
I just was reading. That's why
yeah
I was like, man, how much did they take from this?
yeah they took a few, and the whole whereas the MCU's Hulk tried to make the super soldier serum work on him, that's the Ultimates Hulk origin. So it's like the original Hulk origin is that he had the gamma bomb and it blew up,
Yeah,
and he took all that gamma radiation. Then the Ultimates Hulk origin is that he was so obsessed with the super soldier serum that he wasn't willing to wait to like trial it on a monkey, so he trialed it on himself, and it brought out the Hulk.
gotcha,
And then the MCU was like, "We'll take that," and they made that the MCU Hulk's origin.
gotcha. I didn't even know his origin in that one.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. So yeah, they like briefly mention it in the first Avengers when they're
Right.
like showing Steve like everybody, and then he's like, "And this is Doctor Banner," And Nick Fury's like tried to make the serum work on himself. Didn't go too well. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. So it's a but like I feel like it has that much influence because it was the most recent, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because like if they didn't do the Ultimates, they'd have to go through all those Avengers issues from the '60s and beyond
Sure.
to 2000 and
Sure.
like 15. Like that's a lot.
And I would imagine that the stories back then were maybe not exactly what they wanted to tell now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I think they definitely were like, we want to do it grounded, but still like they're still superheroes.
Yeah.
Whereas like the original comics, it's a lot of fantasy and
Yeah.
magic and uh, Thor gets his powers because he's a god, whereas the Ultimate Thor is like he gets his powers from the hammer and the belt he wears,
Right.
you know, and they like the movies they were doing the same, and it worked out pretty well. I mean, you got over 20 movies that are pretty good.
Oh, yeah, no, you built a multi-billion dollar franchise.
Yeah.
It is crazy to think like if the Ultimates weren't around and they didn't have like a base layer,
Oh
like
yeah.
who would they have gone with?
I
Like
had
probably
no
like
idea.
because they didn't have the rights to Spider-Man at the time. So I guess
Mm-mm.
you really have
Yeah,
right for the
because
first
all they
Avengers at
had was
least.
like the Avengers. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all
yeah.
they had. They didn't even have the Fantastic Four or the
Well,
X Men.
and they think about how lucky they got to run
Yeah.
into, Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., like specifically them two, to
Mm-hmm.
do such great jobs in their role,
Yeah.
like or to like really capture the character, right?
Yeah. Back to back gold mines.
Yeah, no, they really hit it out of the park with like both of those characters combined.
Yeah. Well, that first run of movies from Iron Man 1 up to the first Avengers is like it's pretty wild that they were able to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
if you think
like
about it.
they had it connected, but it wasn't so overarchingly connected, It
Yeah,
was just kind of like each story fed into each other, but they didn't change each other.
yeah,
But you still got the sense like, oh, Captain America's in the ice somewhere. They got to go find him,
hmm
and then they end up doing it. And that's what I really liked with the but the Ultimate Universe was that ability of that fresh start means like you can take risk and take changes
sure,
and you can see them affect the other comics and you don't have to worry about the 30 plus years of history that's already been established. And I thought that's like always been a big draw to me. It's like they have this ability right now to do it new and I will
yeah.
read it all.
Yeah, it's I would be a little more worried based on what you've told me about the Ultimate Universe about some of the other characters, like
Oh yeah.
specifically Cap, because I am a Cap fan and I don't, or at least of the MCU, like he's my favorite, I guess,
Yeah.
and I don't love the idea of him just being like an asshole sometimes.
Dude, you are not gonna like him.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm like expecting
I think
because
you'll like
this
Ultimate Tony
Spider-Man is
Stark.
like this is my favorite Spider-Man. This is
Yeah.
the most like true to form, you know, I mean Spider-Man, right? Like Peter Parker that there is. Like
Yeah.
he's just a good kid from New York that just wants to help out a little bit
Yeah.
and kind of fucks up and pays the price for it and then learns something from it and becomes better for it.
Yeah. I
And
love
it's
the attitude they gave him too.
he's so good. He's like I think I texted you like a few days after we decided
Yeah.
we read
Yeah.
this, and I reread it since then too.
Yeah. You were like,
Uh,
this is amazing.
yeah, it's super. It's just so like it's like I said, it really captures the magic of like when those like the first Iron Man is what I think of, like
Yeah.
when those MCU films were like kind of exploratory and experimental and they were like, you know what? I think we can actually do a good job at a superhero. Like we can actually make a superhero movie kind of fun
Hmm.
and not have it be just like a schlocky fucking mess like Fantastic Fours or stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I
we can do it well.
yeah.
And
Though
and
that first Iron Man movie is still incredible.
it's like a league of its own. There's
Yeah.
like a few of the movies in the MCU that are like that branch outside of it. And like
The
Iron Man is one, both of the Guardians, And even honestly, I would like leave it
Yeah.
in terms
Maybe
of
like
movies
the
that like
second
I
Cap movie.
yes, that's another good one. But even that is like if I wasn't a fan of Cap, I wouldn't necessarily watch it again. But
Yeah.
because I like Cap so much, I've watched it again since it's came out.
Yeah.
But like the Guardians are unendingly entertaining,
Yeah.
and Iron Man 1 is the same way. You and I don't even like man, what's her name? Gwyneth Paltrow?
Oh, you mean vagina candle girl?
Well, Liv and I were talking about her the other night. Like she's just like always kind of like pompous like in her
Yeah.
roles. And it fucking goes really well with a super pompous Tony Stark. And they have
Yeah.
that really good scene at like the banquet dinner where they have like great chemistry and it's really fun to watch. Um and like yeah, anyways, back
Yeah.
to
No, no,
like
I get you.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean by like that magic feeling of the
Yeah.
MCU which occasionally took place but not often.
Mhm.
um, this comic, this volume felt like that, where I was rooting for the hero the whole time. Like I got the lesson that was to be taught. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and it's a good one, and it all just flowed so well that I was
It's
like, yeah, I can read this again. I'm gonna sit here and read this again because it's a lot of fun.
it's really good. I really like I said with the attitude in the beginning of Spider-Man's appearances, he was they made him like snippy,
Yeah,
and like, a little rude, but it was because he had all this confidence with the Spider-Man outfit on.
right.
Because, he spent all of his high school years getting,
Yeah,
bullied and stuff.
yeah,
So then he
exactly.
puts on the costume and he's like, I could do whatever. And
Hmm.
I think in the Ultimate, this first run, they really captured that really well with,
With the
at least,
wrestling.
yeah, with Bendis's writing.
Yep.
Oh, dude, that wrestling is
The
like
rest.
they straight up put that in the Rami,
I know.
the Sam Raimi
Well,
ones.
that's what I was talking about. I was like, this is basically. It gave me a whole new appreciation for the Sam Raimi films,
Yeah,
and it made me honestly want to go back and rewatch it because it is like damn like story beat wise pretty close.
no,
It's pretty much the
yeah,
same movie in like the best way, where it's like
yeah,
it's really good. Um, because of that, you know what I mean? Like, and I look back really fondly on the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, like
yeah.
all of them. I don't remember if they're actually good or not. Like I would have to rewatch them. I
They're
remember the
okay.
second one is legitimately pretty fun.
Yeah, the second one's pretty good, but they're
Yeah.
a little cheesy.
Yeah,
They're
well,
definitely
it's that
like,
Sam Raimi style of like
yeah.
the close-up screams and shit
Oh
like
my
that.
god, there's so many of them where you're like, okay,
But they're kind
relax.
of fun.
Yeah, the first one's good. It's definitely good. That the ending fight of Green Goblin and him still
Yeah.
holds up. Where
Oh
you're like,
yeah.
damn. And then the second one, I think overall as a film holds up really well.
Yeah.
But you should honestly, if you like this, I think you should get the next volumes
Yeah, I
because
was thinking I will like if we don't read them for this,
just read them
uh
on your own.
yeah, I might.
Because
But the
I think
problem
you'll
is I
like
don't
it.
want to get involved in a giant universe.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I'm
Because then
like
they
I'm
they
kind of
start to
good
do
with the
their
way
own
that this
events.
ended and stuff, and I'm
Yeah,
good like calling it as like, okay, that was a fun Spider-Man romp and probably being decent.
yeah.
Because I also
The
don't want
second
this to just be a podcast of the
Spider
Ultimates.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
we just go on a tear of reading the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we
Well,
gotta.
yeah, they do really well the first couple volumes with Spider Man because
Yeah,
they don't do any big events that like I said cross over into the other comics.
sure.
So the first couple volumes of Spider Man is he's allowed to be Spider Man, on
Right.
his own and just do his own thing. It's only until like the later years of the Ultimate Universe where they do like four different events back to back. They
Right.
do like a Galactus event, and then they do like Ultimatum, which is like supposed to end the universe, and then it brings it all back again, and it gets really messy, and that's why they just like ended it fully in 2011
Yeah.
because
Well, and
they
those
really
types of
messed it
things
up.
are why I'm good
Yeah,
on not signing up for a giant universe
a
because
big thing.
yeah, I don't want to read about how the universe gets remade and rewritten a million times or something like
Yeah,
that, right? Like
yeah.
I don't
I
care that much.
Yeah, it's definitely good to read their just singular volumes because you get the story, you get that there's other heroes, but it's like the MCU. You get that there's other heroes in this universe, but
Yeah.
it's not intruding on the book that you're reading.
Yeah, they do mention a few of them, right?
Yeah,
I think they mention Cap and someone else
yeah,
as he's like talking about a costume.
yeah. Because I think somewhere online you can actually get it. Somebody has it on like Reddit or something like that,
Yeah.
where it's the Ultimate Universe like reading order, so that you read it in like chronological order to
Oh.
understand like what happened. But
Here,
it's
I bet
pretty
we can
good.
look it up.
I had it bookmarked on my phone because I was attempting to do it when I first moved out here, but it's so many comics.
Oh, I could imagine.
It, it's a whole 10-year plus run of comics. So it's like, you know, and then they have the spin-off books and the event books that you got to read and it's like, oh, it's a little bit too much for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so you it's like all of the oh wow, divided we fall, united we stand, huh? So that's
Yeah,
probably the if
that's
I
when
had
no, it's not Civil War.
okay, if I had to
It's
guess it, I would say
yeah.
that.
I can't remember what happens, but I know that Captain America becomes president. So
What?
yeah,
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 see that's what I mean. Like I'm decent on all that. Like I don't need that sort of thing and that stuff.
yeah. He
Like I
became
like
president,
the
and it was like,
little
what
like
the fuck?
random introductions and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
this is wonderful. This was a fun volume. Like I said, you there's a lesson to be learned and it's a good one and it's entertaining throughout
yeah,
and the wrestling part's really fun and then the when he finally dons the suit it's really fun and like all of it is fantastic.
definitely.
Fantastic.
I think Mark Bagley, he's the artist on it,
Yes,
and
he's one of
his
them. There
they
there's
switch.
Stuart Eminem and David
Oh,
Lafonte as
I
well.
love how Stuart Eminem, Pretty Hulk.
Yeah.
I really like how that guy draws the Hulk. He gives him like a lot of people like to make the Hulk like really ugly, and I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, it makes sense because he's supposed to be the Jekyll and Hyde of the universe, you know.
Yeah.
And like I'm okay with that, but at the same time, it's like I wouldn't mind if he just looked like a doofus, you know, had forehead, but still looked like just a bigger version of Bruce. But they
Right.
like to make him look like he's like, you know, got broken teeth and one eye's bigger than the other, and it's like, oh my god.
Oh my
but
god.
but Stewart draws a really good. He does a really good Hulk like body. He makes Hulk's body look really good and like big, and like
Yeah.
Hulk should be. And I really like how he draws. But I like Bagley's, like you said, like the vibrant of Bagley's art when
Yes.
in the first couple issues of this. Like he does really like eye popping stuff where you're
Yeah.
like, nice.
It looks very classic comic it comic book feel. Like it
Yeah,
has that like essence of like you said, yeah, the like popping uh characters and like the sound effects and all the fun stuff that you would imagine as like of a kid reading a comic book type thing,
yeah.
but in like a really good way, like in a charming way, not in a like oh Jesus, this is a comic book, oh my god, you know what I mean.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, it doesn't because that's like kind of how I felt on the last one. What was that one called again?
Kill or Be Killed.
Yeah, Killer Bit. That's kind of how I felt that one. The art was
Yeah,
pretty cool, but there were some where I was like, "Good God!" Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. That sort of that like grounded art is really hard to land.
Yeah,
It works well
especially when you
sometimes.
have like I don't know that. I guess when I don't love it as much, like I don't like the story, I get more of like sitting there and being like, "Oh, and this doesn't look that good," and "Oh, it's
Yeah,
so dark," and you know what
and
I
the
mean?
writing's dog shit.
Yeah, like when I can sit there and just like I don't really care about well, I do care about what I'm looking at, but the story is so fun that I'm just like, "Ah, it's Spider-Man and he's having a
Yeah,
great time and he's learned a lesson."
yeah.
Ah.
Well, I mean, Bendis, the writer, is like a household name in comics.
Yeah.
Um, and he's done a lot of good things for Marvel and DC alike, but then he's also done a lot of like, oh my god, he has a really tough time of sometimes he will write too much dialogue, so like you'll get like barely any drawing and it's just covered in speech bubbles,
Yeah.
and so much so that you're like, holy shit. But he's almost like a godfather of modern comics. Like he's in the top five, I think, of like when people reference modern comic book writers, they say Brian Michael Bendis.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he's a.
he
There was like some moments of like where Peter's like kind of introspective and he's like sitting on a rooftop like, oh god, I'm poor, like what was me, I'm a teenager
yeah,
and stuff like that, right? That were actually like, yeah, you're not wrong, like pretty well written, where you were like,
yeah,
you weren't like annoyed with Peter for
no,
feeling what.
no,
It kind of makes sense.
yeah, because that's like I had said it before. They did a new universe, but they still kept the heart of the character. Like it's a new story and it's a new spin on some of the characters and it's set in the beginning, but you're still having that like sliver of what Spider-Man is and what Peter Parker is. And it
Mm.
and it does it really well. And setting Peter at 15 like probably could have the wrong way, but I think it works so well cuz Spider-Man's a pretty like, angsty character.
Yeah.
He's not a billionaire like Tony Stark, and he's not
No.
like some handsome super soldier like Steve Rogers.
Sure.
He's a kid that lived with his aunt and got bit by a bug.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
like, of
he lost
course,
his parents and then also lost his uncle.
yeah,
Like he's not, yeah, like you said, he's angsty. Like it's kind of it's pretty sad, like superhero, like beginning story. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's very tragic, and that's what I mean by like, I love that it wasn't annoying. It wasn't smashing me over the head with that. It had some genuine insight into Peter going like, fuck man, like I can't believe all this has happened to me and like it just keeps happening. I can't get away from it.
yeah,
And then he like, the next couple of pages he ends up like coming out on top and getting out of it and stuff like that. And I guess I'm a little bit of a fan of like a more hero story, you know
hmm
what I mean? Like,
yeah, triumph.
yeah, hero's tale type stuff.
Yeah, I like that he was like, I don't really think I want to be Spider-Man,
Yeah. Yeah.
like this. I don't know if I'm like if I want this. This sounds like it might suck.
Yeah.
And it was
Right?
just like,
Like,
I mean, that would any 15-year-old that came across this and like this is life changing.
mhm.
You can now lift a bus over your head. Like you're gonna be like what do I do? Like do I keep living this normal life or do I try and do some good or do I do some bad to help me and my
Yeah.
aunt? Like what do I do? You want to hear something kind of lame though? That I don't know. Do you care about spoilers?
No, I don't care at all.
Uh,
Like I said,
Pete,
I probably won't like
yeah.
read this, at least
Peter's
universe
parents
wise.
in this universe, Peter's parents are killed by the Hulk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when Bruce first like injects himself with the super soldier serum and has his first like Hulk breakout, he kills Richard and Mary.
Oh,
Yeah,
poor
and then
Richard and Mary.
and they got little baby Peter in their hands, and it's actually it's baby Peter that makes Hulk turn back into Bruce, because he kills them both out of rage, and then he
Yeah.
sees the baby, and he's like, no, no, what have I done? And he shrinks down into Bruce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, like you said, like they're clearly involved with each other, right?
Yeah,
All the universe, all the characters.
they gotta have ties somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of an interesting way to tie it in, I guess.
Yeah. Well, what are we at?
40 minutes. We got some time.
Wow.
Did you see Army of the Dead?
I did. I did not like it.
I fucking hated it.
I thought,
I
dude,
can't believe that shit was on. I can't believe that shit was like on the
I thought
air.
it was
Like somebody
so
put that
bad.
out.
Oh,
Liv and I
I think.
tried watching like the first 20 minutes and we turned it off
Oh,
immediately.
I watched the whole thing. Lisette fell
Oh
asleep.
yeah, I watched the whole thing last night.
Oh, dude. So I think it's his worst film ever.
It's abysmal.
It
I
is
mean,
his worst film ever.
I was on my phone 100% of the time.
Yeah. And then I would tune in, and some character would have some really shit dialogue, and I'd be
Oh
like, "Oh
God.
my god,
And it's like the camera work just like so fucking frustrating.
yeah,
It
that
was so
was."
frustrating. I was
And then,
constant. I was like, are my eyes like fucked? Like, do I need my glasses on? What's happening here?
am I going blind?
It
It
was
was
horrible.
bad. It was so bad, and
Ugh.
everybody's like, "Oh my god, this is great!" I'm like, "What? Are we? Did we watch the same film?
Ugh.
Like, this was fucking horrendous.
I.
It was so
Yeah.
bad."
There were like, what was the point of? Oh my God. Yeah. Anyways, what was the point of like shooting it in like putting it in Las Vegas? You
I thought
literally could
that
have put
was
it
a
anywhere.
I thought that was an amazing concept, though.
Yeah,
You know,
but then they didn't like you literally could have put that exact safe at the bottom of like a fucking bank somewhere, anywhere.
yeah,
Doesn't matter.
yeah.
They they
I
they have
think
like
they just did
one
it in Vegas because it was like, ooh, Vegas.
yeah, for
Yeah,
like the two scenes.
yeah,
Like so they can put a digitally destroyed Las Vegas in the background on a green screen for
yeah.
like 6 scenes.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you know who was my least favorite character
Uh,
out of like what is the damn helicopter pilot?
that's so funny. She was actually my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, because
No,
she just like she couldn't be bothered at all.
yeah. I
She was
don't.
like,
None of
"Wait,
her jokes landed for me. I was like, God.
well, I thought of the scene where she said, like, when they recruit her
Mhm.
and they go, like, oh, it's $2 million. And she goes, like, I'm in. Like, doesn't matter. That's how they approached her to be in the movie. They were like, oh, we'll pay you 12 million to stand in front of a green screen and do some things, and we'll
Yeah.
just put you in later. And she
Yeah.
said, stop, I'm in. You want me to just sit in front of a? I literally don't even
Uh,
have to like. I think I read an article the other day that said like Batista still hasn't met her since they
nice.
fucking shot the
Nice.
movie.
God.
I was like, that's the easiest job in the world. Just
Yeah.
go stand in front of a fucking green screen and poorly deliver lines. It's shit dialogue anyways. What does it
Yeah,
matter?
for real. I was like, God, this it was honestly Zach's worst.
Oh, it
That
was
was his worst.
so
And then they had
terrible.
that fucking time travel thing where did you see
Completely
that?
randomly,
Yeah.
like just dropped in for
There were skeletons dressed just like them. I was like,
and there
"What?"
was like robot zombies at one
Yeah.
point. Like I saw
Yeah.
like sparks shooting out of one of their heads.
I
I
was
mean,
like,
is this
"What the
based
fuck?"
on something? Like,
No,
is it like a
it's a
like
original
a?
screenplay.
I mean, is the plan to like?
Is it a franchise?
I mean, you know what I mean? It seems like a shitty like some indie story from somewhere, like
Yeah.
based on like all these are based off like a random graphic novel now. Like
Yeah.
I was expecting to look up and find like a random graphic
Yeah,
novel that
Army
didn't
of the
make any
Dead.
sense.
That's what I'm saying. I thought it was an amazing concept. You know, you gotta. There's a zombie outbreak in Vegas. There's $200 million. Where you got to get in before it gets nuked
Yeah,
and get out. I was like,
yeah,
oh, good, cool, heist movie. I'm in.
yes.
And then it was like not that, and I was like, what the
It
fuck?
was like actually we're gonna make a terrible family drama
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense and will just annoy you to no end.
and even the family drama scenes. He's like, you know, I had to kill her, right? Oh, I'm sure you did, Dad. He
Yeah.
had to. She was a zombie. What do you mean? Like, how do you? I was like, why the fuck is she mad at him? Your mom got turned into a zombie. Of course, he's gonna put her down. Like, why wouldn't he?
It was the dumbest shit, dude. It was the dumbest thing
It
I've
was
ever seen.
terrible. And then they
It
had that
was
security guard that just was like, you know, commentary on dudes being dickheads. And I was like,
yeah,
yep, this guy's a fun character.
yeah.
Can I see your gun? You want to touch my gun? I was like, oh my God.
I
Get,
did that's what I mean too by like they have like a zombie hierarchy, which was also kind of like I would rather like know why they're doing that.
yeah,
But like why did they ever explain why they are
no.
capturing people? To I guess to put like tiny little baby zombies in it.
Yeah, that one zombie was pregnant. And I was like,
Yeah.
so zombies are banging? That's
Yeah.
zombies are getting busy in Vegas? Is that what you're
I
telling
mean,
me?
uh
Well, it was like they were turning people into alphas or whatever.
yeah, but like why?
I don't know,
Just to do it?
just to spread the disease, I guess. They were getting ready. They were getting ready to get out of Vegas.
But
I
why?
I
They
don't
have
know.
everything they need in Vegas. These
It was
dumb
a
humans
half.
keep coming in and eating, getting eaten.
Yeah, yeah. She was like, "We have to make a sacrifice every time." Like I don't think the zombies give a fuck.
Yeah, well,
Like
and then I thought about like, so who have you been sacrificing before this? Have you
yeah.
just been like randomly grabbing mothers and like shooting them in the kneecaps and leaving them for dead? What the
I
hell?
I have to go play slots. I'll be back. Bang. Like what the fuck? Yeah, that was just a mess.
Oh, it was so terrible. So
I
I
just
can't.
can't
I
believe
honestly couldn't
everybody's
believe I watched it. Couldn't believe
same.
I finished it.
Well, because I thought like it looked like a like I keep saying it looked like a fun premise,
Yeah,
a zombie heist movie. How rad!
they had
And
that
it just
one
wasn't.
scene where they used a zombie to actually like diffuse the booby traps.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
that's pretty fun. Good job. Like that's
yeah,
there you go. You have like an Ocean's 11 type scenario, right? Where like, oh, we got to figure out a way to get to the safe. Like we have to get to the safe now. How are we gonna get past all these things? And they like
yeah,
kind of figure it out by. I mean, granted, he wordlessly goes upstairs and grabs a fucking zombie, so it's like not exactly like well
yeah.
written, but it was at least kind of fun. Like
God.
you said, like playing with that premise a little more.
Yeah, I wish they would have just. They should have just dived fully into it's a zombie heist movie.
Yeah,
Like that
and
would have
made
been.
more like hard,
Yeah,
like yeah, they could have 100% abandoned the weird alpha thing. They
yeah,
they could have just made all of them fast for all I fucking care. I don't
yeah.
care at
I would
all,
have been like,
right?
this
That
is
would have made
fun.
it a little more tense. But like I didn't care at all the entire
No,
time.
no.
Like
And
I
then
would
each
want to
character died like this. They were just
yeah.
dead. And I was like, okay.
Well, and I just didn't care anything. They're just faces.
No, no,
Like,
yeah. I was like, what the fuck? Like that one girl when she gets her neck snapped, she's like, I won't leave without you.
yeah,
Turns
she's like,
around, the zombie just
"Oh,
snaps
I
her, and I
love
was like,
you now." Like
yeah.
randomly.
I was like, okay, so that lasted for a minute.
I
Like,
was like, "You just friends for the entire film. Now all of a sudden you want to bone?" Like you just seemed
yeah,
like good friends for a long time.
yeah,
Like I don't, I don't get I don't
yeah.
understand what's happening here.
I don't get everybody that everybody online is like eating it up, and this is so good. Zack's back. I'm like,
Let's see,
what?
everyone else are idiots.
Yeah.
They're all dumb. They're they're all dumb. They see some stupid shit like this, and they see Batista crying and screaming in a hallway after he shoots his wife, and they think, God, it's so moving. And I just think, why are you not Drax? Stop.
Like,
Come back. We won't make you be shirtless anymore. I promise. Just do more Drax.
he
He's
doesn't like
better.
the makeup. He doesn't want to do makeup
I don't
anymore.
care, dude.
It, it
Just don't do any more of these then.
just keep
You
doing
can
like
not be
Blade Runners.
yeah, you can not be doing Drax, but you can't do this either. So
Yeah.
pick get, do something else.
Yeah, God.
It was
God.
horrible.
It was. I hate that I watched it. I really thought
Uh,
it was going to be good.
uh,
Everybody told me it was. I was like, all right. And I was like,
it
this is
definitely wasn't Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1,
good.
which was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that is an absolutely incredible.
It's
I
a
think
fun one.
I think if you were to give somebody like modern Spider-Man, I would say go for that.
Yeah.
If you're like somebody
I
was
think
like
if
I
you were to introduce someone to comics,
yeah,
like I now that I've read this and Planet Hulk, I know I was pumped for Planet Hulk because it
yeah,
sounded like, obviously you knew a lot about it too. I wanted to read something that you kind of knew,
yeah,
but this is like I said, it gave me the feeling of like genuinely reading a comic, where I was
yeah,
like, oh, this is like a comic experience. This is like what it feels like to read about a superhero
no,
type thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. It was great. It's such an easy introduction too to the
Oh yeah,
world, and that's like also one of the biggest things I love about reboots is that it's such an easy introduction because you get in and it's fresh and it's brand new and it's new stories to be told. And
yeah,
you're like, nice, let's go. And they did it really well with this one.
yeah,
I think personally, um, volume 2 and volume 3, I think honestly up to like volume 7 is its own disclosed like Spider-Man story. If you wanted to keep reading the Ultimate Spider-Man
yeah.
book, I think of it being a singular Spider-Man story. Um, and it's pretty good throughout. Like everybody likes it throughout.
Yeah, it looks like there's 6 different sets here.
Yeah.
And it goes, yeah, it goes to Ultimate 6 afterwards.
Ultimate Six is when they do the Sinister Six,
Sinister
but
Six,
in
6.
the Ultimate Universe, and it's really good. It's a really good
Oh yeah,
story.
so you're right. So like Ultimate 6 is like its own thing,
Hmm.
but then you can skip to number 54, which is
Yeah,
this one.
yeah.
And then you
Ultimate Six
can,
story is great.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. This is actually making me consider. I mean, if comics weren't as expensive as they were,
Oh yeah.
although I think
Hmm.
Comixology, shout out to them because I use them and I want them to sponsor us
Sponsor,
out.
sponsor.
Sponsor. Um, they let you, like, when you have the account, like if you do the subscription, it's one of the ones that you can borrow. So if
Oh,
you wanted, if people who are listening, you can get your free trial started on Comixology. Wow, why am I
yeah.
promoting them? What am I
I don't
talking
know.
about?
Maybe they'll listen. Maybe,
Yeah, maybe they'll
maybe.
listen. Maybe they'll be like, "Oh, cool. We should, like, if you tweet this out,
Yeah.
you can put their at in this."
I'll say, hey, Comixology, come
Yeah, put their
listen to
handle in
this.
here.
We spend a good 10 minutes talking about you.
But the app is really good. You
Yeah.
you the app, you can do a free trial for I think a month, and you can borrow this book. Like, you don't have to pay for it. Some of them you have to pay for them, but they give you like a discount because you're a subscriber.
Hmm.
And then some of them you can just flat out borrow. So maybe I should look into it. If I can borrow the rest of these, I might read them.
Yeah.
I might
I
do that
mean,
for sure.
that's the move. Online comics, especially if you're, I like I said way back, is like the only ones that I want to collect are the ones that I like love.
Right.
So like that's the only ones that I will buy on physical. The
Yep.
rest of them that I just like to read, I'll get digitally because it's easy to keep them with me.
Right. Yeah. And that app is so, I mean, I read them on the planes and stuff like
Hmm.
that when I fly. It's awesome. It's
Yeah,
nice that you can download them. You don't have to have service or anything.
yeah,
It picks up right where you leave off.
yeah. And it's really zooming in and reading letters when you got
Oh
bad
yeah.
eyes. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, exactly. With my old man eyes, my 25-year-old gamer
Right?
eyes.
Oh God, I
My
know.
gamer eyes are just pooping their pants.
Well, and then also sometimes with physical copies, at least the art can get cut off
I would
by
imagine.
the binding of the page.
Yeah.
So
Or
with
and like
digital,
the
you
printing.
yeah. So with digital, at least you get to see it all in its
Yeah.
glory the whole time. And digital art still like still pops off, and you're like, holy shit, that looks good.
Oh yeah,
You
there
know?
were tons of scenes in this where dude, when you first see, like, when he first puts on his suit and
Yeah.
he's got like the classic Spider-Man pose with like the
Oh yeah.
bowed legs, you're like, Spider-Man! You're so excited about it.
Spider Man.
Yeah, and he's another one I'm a big fan of, like,
Yeah.
as a
Who
character, as a
isn't?
superhero.
Yeah. Who doesn't love
Um,
Spider Man?
yeah,
He's
he's
such
just
a
like
G.
I said, he's like a classic good kid.
Yeah.
So it's a
Great.
fun one for
Yeah.
sure.
Damn.
That's at 53 if you want
Oh
to
shit.
do a
Yeah.
do a nice little plug for Comixology.
Nice
Please
little plug.
sponsor us.
Maybe
Sponsor us.
maybe kind of does good book deals. Hey Amazon.
Hey Amazon,
Yeah, I know you got money,
we have
Amazon.
like 3 people listening to us, and 2 of
Hey,
them are our
no.
parents.
Well, I know. Did you see Mom's fucking comment on our YouTube
She
post
gave me yeah, she gave me scathing remarks at brunch the other day. She was like,
about
"Why are you
what?
talking about me?" I was like, "I'm sorry."
I know she's always like, "Quit cussing." And I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what, Mom? This ain't your mama's fucking podcast, motherfucker. I'll say whatever the fuck I want. God.
This isn't your kids' podcast as we read a comic developed for
Yeah.
kids to
About Spider-Man,
about Spider-Man.
one of the most kid-friendly characters in all of media. Yeah.
It's
Damn.
fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, I haven't picked a book for next time, but we'll probably pick that off the air.
Oh yeah, it'll be a surprise this time. I think we
Yeah.
said we wanted to start surprising.
Yeah. Stop telling these listeners what we're reading,
I know.
and
I'm terrible. But
we'll
sometimes I
just
like them to read along with us. Isn't that a good
yeah.
call?
I wonder if anybody does that.
I don't know.
Just like picks it
I
up
would.
and reads it too. Yeah. I mean, if like some comic fans listen to this,
Sure.
because there's got to be comic fans that are like, I wonder if there's comic book podcast. Like if they listen to this, they'll be like, oh, I'll read it too. So then next week I can listen with them,
Yeah.
and see what they thought and disagree or agree.
Right. 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 Right.
So I wonder if there's anybody like that. Maybe if we get big enough, we'll get down the road where people are like, I read it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we
know?
can start telling them right out of the gate.
Yeah.
But this one is just purely lack of planning. I've
Yep.
just like not even thought about it.
Yep, straight up.
I've just been
busy.
really excited to record this one.
Yeah. Well, this
Had
was
a
a
lot
good
of fun
one.
with Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, really good. Oh, okay. Would you?
I mean, it's 53, right?
Yeah. Do
50
you
something.
wanna?
It's a long time. I'm gonna have
I
to
mean,
edit all
obviously,
this.
it sounds like we both recommend it.
Yeah, I recommend it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially as a starter comic. This is the most comic book feeling comic book,
definitely.
if that makes sense, that
Yeah.
I've read so far.
I think if you're gonna introduce somebody to modern Spider-Man, I would go with this route. Or like you said, if you want to get them into comics, I would go
Sure.
with the Ultimate Spider-Man. Is such a nice, such a nice little to the Spider-Man world.
Yeah.
And it's still got all the characters that you'll like understand the lore. Like there's Mary Jane already and stuff like that. And it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Exactly.
it's real easy to just get right in there.
And even all his classmates. You're like,
Yeah.
They do a great job. Wonderful job.
Good book.
Mwah, mwah,
Mwah,
magnifique.
Miss Nipago.
Mwah. Love it.
All right, well,
Bye, y'all.
bye everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
Woo!
Oh, Jesus, I can't stop. I can't.
You got it.